Happy Friday night, everyone. It's GameFace episode 17 right here on Sifted, and I have a very, very special guest with me tonight. The one, the only, the incomparable Ryan Stevens. Welcome to GameFace, Ryan. You've actually been on the show before. You came in via satellite one time.
Yes, via the interwebs, the series of tubes.
This is your first time in the studio with us, though. What do you think, bro?
It's pretty cool. I like your blue light.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
As you guys probably know, Ryan worked with me at GT for 7 years, I think it was. We worked together, and we were the head of the editorial team there. Ryan knows his shit, without a doubt.
Maybe a little rusty now, but we'll see.
Yep, Ryan getting back in the saddle. It's been a little while since you've done a show. Did you do anything after the last time you did GameFace?
No, I can't get my chronological order correct. I think I did the game trailers GT time.
Oh, you did GT Live, didn't you?
Or but I think I did that the day before.
Right.
So that was, like 3 or 4 months ago, I'm guessing.
And also some top secret stuff you did at E3 that you won't even tell me about.
I'm pretty sure I'm not allowed to talk about it for all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a crazy NDA, brother.
It is. Throughout the multiverse.
Yeah.
I can't even tell Sailor Moon.
So Ryan and I reunited tonight for GameFace. Right now, we have Comic-Con going on, but based upon the news coming out of Comic-Con, you would never know that one of the biggest conventions of the year is going on.
Well, I mean, there is that photo of the Ghostbusters, but game-wise,
even movie-wise and TV show-wise, there wasn't a ton. Like, I think there's a trailer for the new Walking Dead spin-off show.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen too much going on. I mean, game-wise, we always know it's a little light.
I mean, it's not a huge game show.
It's a month after E3, and with E3 being later this year, and with Comic-Con being earlier, it's even more compressed.
Street Fighter 5, they showed Ken. Have you seen that?
That's a given. I mean, the biggest news I saw was some guy took a photo of the Dark Souls 3 banner.
Yeah.
And it said coming spring 2016 when they originally said, early 2016. So is this a delay? Also, it said there's going to be crude language and drug use. So I'm really curious for this more mature Dark Souls experience.
If you guys don't remember, Ryan is one of the world's biggest Dark Souls fans. He's been trying to convert me over to that franchise for forever. I'm assuming you love Bloodborne.
It's probably my least favorite out of the 3 games.
Because it's too easy?
Or 4 games. No, it's just it seemed a little labyrinthine in a way that it's complicated but not intricate, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense.
In some of the ways, and it had a little less to it. I liked how detailed the weapons were and everything, but it was fun when you actually picked up weapons and learned more about the world. Now that I've kind of ruminated on all the games, I think I have to go back to the original Demon Souls being my favorite, even though it doesn't have the interconnected world, which everyone points to Dark Souls 1 as kind of the leader. Just that
Do you think it's
experience.
You giving weight to it because it was the first?
Oh, totally. Yeah. But I mean, just owning it, like, not objectively at all.
Because actually, if you go and play that game, it's
completely subjectively.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I popped them all in recently just to kind of do the feel test, and they actually feel all a little bit different. So
for sure. Yeah.
But it doesn't seem that way in your head all the time, But yeah, I think that one just has the best moments. I'm much more of a moment person than like a repeated mechanics sort of thing. It's how the mechanics work into scenarios that I like the most in games.
Yeah, and that's probably why you enjoy the Souls franchise so much.
I like dying.
If you're going to play that game, you better like dying, because it's going to happen no matter how good you are. So this week, one of the big updates to Sifted, to the site, we finally have notifications on the site. So if you leave a comment and someone replies to you, you will get notified inside the dashboard. It has made a huge difference for me personally, because if I leave a comment and somebody replies to it, I'm immediately notified. I can go back and jump into that conversation. So make sure you check that out. If you look at your avatar, there will be a little envelope icon on the avatar to let you know that you have a new notification there. You can clear them all out, or you can reply to them all. So check out that new feature on the site. And I think with that, we're ready to rock, Ray.
I think your iPad played some Dark Souls.
It just collapsed. All right, let's get to the Big Six. All right, so as we mentioned, it's hard to believe we're doing a show while Comic-Con is going on, and there's not one topic out of the Big Six that's really related to Comic-Con. Our first topic is actually related to Minecon, which just happened, where they unveiled for the first time Minecraft Story Mode, which to me is a little odd, Ryan, because there is no story in Minecraft.
No, there is a story. They hired even a guy to write it. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's kind of out there. But there's would you say Super Mario Brothers had a story? Like you rescue the princess?
Yeah. There's a setup.
There's objectives you have
There's
to
a difference. There's a difference between a setup and a story.
Okay.
And I would say both those games only really have setups.
You're saying Minecraft wouldn't have gotten a story score?
No.
Okay. To roll it back, make it a little old school.
Yeah.
But I think this is what Telltale does, is that they take a property and they look at ways to work it into another scenario. Obviously.
But do they do that? Because if you look at all their other franchises, you look at The Walking Dead, you look at A Wolf Among Us, you look at even Borderlands, which strays from what Borderlands was really about a good bit, but still it has this well of characters and pre-existing situations to draw from to kind of craft the prose around. But here we have just survive the night.
But I would argue that there is more to Minecraft than that. I mean, there is all the weird stuff of when you go to the Neververse and you wake the Ender Dragon and stuff, and the weird little NPC towns and even the creepers. They all have a personality. It may not be as deep a well to kind of draw from. But again, to bring back the past, we saw what the guys did at the Seedlings guys did, where they made their own story kind of in Minecraft that was kind of part of Minecraft, but also kind of away from it.
Right.
And it looks like that's kind of what they're doing there. Obviously, it doesn't really matter because every child in the world plays Minecraft, and most of the adults do too, so it's got that big brand recognition.
Oh, for sure.
They got that it has a good look and a kind of, I can't tell if I like the way it looks or not.
Well, here's the other thing too, is because the way Minecraft looks and the way its character models are, my big concern when I first heard the trailer was coming, before I saw the trailer, was how will characters emote in this game? Because you don't have a face that's as expressive. And honestly, after watching the trailer, I feel like they did a pretty good job of it. But that was my big concern before I saw the footage, was how is a character going to convey emotion with a block head and this face painted on the front of it?
Well, no, you know how they're going to do it. You're just going to see this blank face, and then it will say Creeper will remember that or something like that in the upper right.
In some ways it gives them full license to do whatever the hell they want, right? Because they don't have to worry about any pre-existing story arcs or anything that's happened in the franchise, or stepping on the toes of the developer and going outside of canon or anything like that. It gives them a blank canvas to work with, but that could be good and bad.
So are you saying there's going to be spheres? Really, really break the mold?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it looks cool. I have this problem with Telltale games where I buy the complete season, and then I play the first episode, and then I never play another episode.
Why is that? Because really, for me, I'm the opposite. A lot of times I'll buy the episode and I'm I want to check it out, but usually they do such a good job with cliffhangers that I get suckered into buying the
I want to play them, and I think it's a problem of this sort of malaise where it's I actually don't like them being... I like the idea of episodic gaming, but I think some of their gaps are too big. Fables had one of the longest gaps in the world between the first and the second episode. Yeah. And it is you get a little foggy, but you kind of don't want to replay it because they seem short, but they take some time. I kind of think I want to brute force it, but then you're looking at probably 10 hours. I don't know. It's just trying to carve that in. But playing the first episode is really easy because you don't have to worry. There's nothing else, so...
What I find is I play that first episode and then I just get hooked, and there I am buying. And it's funny because I won't admit to myself that I'm going to buy them all, so I can buy them and get them at a cheaper price.
Yeah.
I end up getting halfway into, oh yeah, I'm going to play the next one, and then I buy the next one. But maybe this next episode isn't good, but that's why I actually have some semblance of faith in this game, because I feel like if there's one developer who could pull this off with the Minecraft franchise, it's Telltale Games.
Well, what I'm more interested in is I've seen Telltale go from... Let's say there's Telltale before Walking Dead Season 1 and Telltale after.
Yeah.
Walking Dead Season 1 has a little bit of baggage, and some of that baggage is there was a lot more walking around places.
Yeah.
Fables... So I haven't played Season 2 of Walking Dead, but Fables, Game of Thrones, and...
Wolf Among Us.
All of them felt that there's a lot, there's locations, but there's a lot less kind of just walking around and observing, and it's way more conversation-based.
Yeah.
And to me, it's going to be interesting how they handle that, because Minecraft, the world, to use the biggest cliche in the world is sort of the character.
It is, yeah.
So I'm going to be a little curious. Obviously, the trailer has a bunch of characters, but I'm kind of curious to see how much of that actual old school kind of walking around stuff they're going to do.
I think what I want to see is how Minecraft is it? Or is it Minecraft at all? Or is it just like a story that they write that they staple the Minecraft like imagery on top of?
We saw how Telltale for Borderlands, Telltale kind of shoehorned in a little more gameplay mechanics and not typical puzzle adventure stuff, but like in the first episode, if you got the hat, it kind of let you mess up a quick time event and you could kind of call in stuff, even though they've kind of scaled back puzzles, even though the puzzles in Walking Dead were pretty minor for the most part.
Pointless.
So it's going to be curious to see if they actually incorporate building, I think, into the game, because it's going to be building and exploring.
They have to, but that's not going to fit into their engine.
But is it going to just be a menu choice? You know, that's the question.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody else was making this game, I would say right now it's going to be an unmitigated disaster. But because it's Telltale, I have a little bit more faith that at least something interesting will come out of it. And look, I'm not a Minecraft fan, so I don't really have a whole lot of emotion tied into the franchise. I'm not going to sweat it if they like break outside a canon or whatever.
There's a sphere.
But, you know, it'll be interesting to see them kind of walk that line and to see, you know, because a lot of the other thing, too, is that a lot of Minecraft fans are kids. I mean, what percentage would you venture to guess at this point of people that play Minecraft are kids?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I still think of all the people doing the servers and doing all the crazy stuff, but no, it's probably tipping
at
over.
This point,
it's probably tipping over 50% at this point.
When it first launched, I would say it's probably like 10%, but now it's like every kid plays Minecraft. But I feel like a lot of adults have moved on.
Oh, I wouldn't say maybe moved on, but I mean, kids have definitely picked up the mantle.
Well, how long has it been since you played Minecraft?
I was a trendsetter because I was.
No, I remember. I was telling Matt before you got here today about how at GT the day that game came out, like our office is shut down.
No, but I played like the super beta before half the stuff was there, and I just thought the kind of emergent world stuff was cool, and then I never played it again. I like games that end. Yeah. Like I'll play with a game that's a toolbox or like a sandbox for a while, but then there was the editors had wars and people blew up people's kingdoms and stuff like that on their private servers. I was never part of any of that.
Yeah. So you're not a huge fan.
I keep up with what's being added and stuff, but I don't play.
So you haven't played it since around when it came out. I haven't played it since around when it came out. Everybody I know that plays games hasn't played it since around when it came out.
Oh, there's still a lot of people that play it. Like a lot of the old GT editors still play.
Really?
Yeah, they have servers.
Like Marco still plays?
Yeah.
Wow, that's surprising to hear. But I think in general, I think the shift has certainly moved to where it's more dominated by a younger audience than it was when it was first launched. And so,
well, I do think maybe Notch leaving it has kind of, I think maybe some of the more tech heads and maybe feel maybe not betrayed, but maybe lost a little bit of interest under Microsoft's stewardship.
Yeah, and so what I was getting at is that, Telltale maybe has to be a little careful with how they handle this game because they don't really want to lock out that kid's audience from buying and enjoying this game.
I didn't know if there was an ESRB on that trailer, but I'm sure it's going to be E or E10.
I don't think there was. I think it was just like rating pending or
Peggy,
whatever.
I guess, because they showed it in London.
Yeah, exactly. But
Peggy.
There's no rating for it yet. But they're going to have to walk that line because if they lock out the kids, they're going to lose a big market for that game. At least I think. So it'll be interesting to see. I would say it was an auspicious debut because my biggest concerns were it's an adventure game that's story driven. How are the characters going to convey emotion inside this visual landscape that's already been kind of laid down by the game? And
voice acting? I mean,
but if the voice, look, you can't just completely write off like a way a face emotes in a game. Look at a game like The Witcher.
I totally can.
Really?
I think faces in games are awful.
They are generally.
I still think probably the best faces in games. L.A. Noire still has that uncanny valley thing going on. It's going to Half-Life 2. It's the way they make the pupils move, and there's only like 3 characters that talk to you in that game.
I think there are some more recent games that have been pretty good. I think Arkham Knight's really good. I think the faces are good in that, and I also think the faces in The Witcher 3 are really good too.
I disagree.
You disagree?
Yeah.
Matt feels. You agree?
Yeah, I think turn my mic up.
Hi, Matt.
Hey, Ryan. No, I think. The faces aren't like photoreal or anything, but I think the subtlety of the animation of the faces in conversation in The Witcher 3 is the best I've ever seen.
I think it's really good.
The eyes just look so dead to me most of the time.
I don't know if they're ever going to be able to replicate the human eye.
It's the passage to the soul.
That's right. That's why they say the eyes are the window to the soul. That's why it's the hardest thing to replicate in games.
But I do think Shane's right in that the eyes in Arkham are great.
Oh, I got to check it out.
Yeah,
I'm going to wait for the Game of the Year edition when it has, because there's 17 months of DLC for that game or something like that. I'm just going to wait on that one.
That's probably a good idea. All right, so this week, I think there were 5 collector's editions announced in a week. And that was after 10 had been announced the prior 2 weeks. And so...
In honor of Comic-Con.
It seems as if the collector's editions for video games are really starting to get out of control. And I think what really tipped me over the top this week was the Call of Duty and Mirror's Edge collector's editions that cost $200 a piece. So the Mirror's Edge collector's edition, Ryan, you can see it there on our monitor. You get a statue. It's an awesome statue, and I love the emotional impact of it and everything. And you get that groovy collector's box and some temporary henna tattoos and a lithograph. Concept. I don't even know what is a concept piece.
I think it's just concept art.
Postcards.
That's what it looks like. Basically, something that they printed for nothing in a steelbook. $200 for that.
Yeah.
Now that's insane. Like I would never pay $200 for that ever. Like the statue, I'm guessing the statue's probably 10 inches tall or shorter.
14 inches.
Oh, so it is actually pretty big.
It's but after I got burned on the Witcher statue, I don't really trust the paint jobs on these things.
Yeah, I mean...
But so wait, that 14 inches though actually measures to the top of that white wall that's between them.
Yeah. So yeah, it's about 10 inches probably to the top of Faith's head. You're right.
And really, that's all that's of value in that collector's edition, in my humble opinion anyway. That's the only thing that I would actually want out of there. And to me, that statue should cost $50, in my opinion.
I mean, I don't know. I've never been in, I've been to, the Nintendo World Store in New York, and they have the crazy cool statues and stuff, and they're, $300 and super detailed, and... they look nice, and I think some of them even have LED lights that aren't tacky incorporated into them. But that's not the
I don't think there's anything like that going on there. I don't see
this is they think there's a market. I mean, I remember when this all, to me, the ground zero of this was all when Halo 2 came out for an extra $5 you got the making of DVD, and it outsold the version. Everyone bought that one for $5, and it's just been escalating since then.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you go back to the '80s, and the Infocom games all had the little feelies and tchotchkes, but you didn't really have a choice with that stuff. It was just packed in. Now they're kind of just, this is to really make money off of fans, because the cost to make something for this is way higher, or way lower than what they're charging. It's all a margin thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then
they're figuring out a way to make an extra $60 of profit off a $60 game.
I mean, you can still, for most of these, it depends how good their bean counters are and how good they're doing the calculus, because half the time...
We haven't gotten to even the ridiculous ones yet. Look at this one.
Yeah. This one, actually, I would rather pay $200 for this.
Wait, what is
that? It's a refrigerator. It is a mini fridge.
Oh, I saw this. Okay.
It holds a 12-pack of whatever your favorite beverage is.
Well, who plays Call of Duty? College kids. This is actually useful.
I actually would like to have that little mini fridge to set on my desk.
It's cool. I like the retro.
It holds
styling.
a 12-pack?
It holds a 12-pack.
That's not that small.
Of cans. So,
but I mean, going to $200, they're just tweaking that knob up.
And
it's that test. But half the time
cheaper than Titanfall.
Cheaper than Steel Battalion?
No. Steel Battalion was $200, but adjusted for inflation.
Well, that's a good point too. I mean, games went up $10 last generation, and it's still kind of one of those games.
But even the extras in this, I would rather have. There's in-game stuff that you get here. You get the same steelbook.
In-game stuff, I could care less. I mean, for the cosmetic stuff, and when the other stuff just makes me angry when they hold hostage content that feels like it should be part of the game. But what I was going to say is half the time you can go into Best Buy a month after a game comes out, and they have those collector's editions marked down. That's how I got I never buy collector's editions. I bought BioShock 2 because I had a record, an LP. That's something it's I hate myself, but I actually kind of want that.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I got it 40% off, 2 months later.
I mean, this to me looks like the better deal. You get something that's actually functional, that's really cool, that you can use and you can have forever, and no one's gonna cock an eye at you when they see it sitting somewhere.
They're gonna cock an eye at you. Look at that thing.
No, people are gonna be like, "That is freaking awesome, dude! A little mini fridge that sits on your desk."
Well, and then they're gonna be like, "Where'd you get it?" And you're gonna tell them, and they're gonna be like, "Oh."
I'd be like, "What's Juggernog?"
Juggernog. Yeah.
Speaking of getting things, these collector's editions cheap later. Let's look at Halo.
Yeah. Okay, here's the other thing, too, about Halo 5. It came out that you do not get a physical copy of the game with this. That is insane. And now Microsoft is, quote-unquote, looking into it.
Well,
what?
It's just a continuation of what Microsoft was trying to do.
But
right?
wait, isn't this thing like $500 or something ridiculous? It's like it's even more expensive than the other two, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like, I hate to be like a real stickler, but if the statues are actually decent, then they are worth it. But like, I got BioShock Infinite Collector's Edition. I was like, this is a lot of cool stuff. Did any of you guys pick that up?
No.
It is like the cheapest crap in the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like you got like a little. I don't even.
Well, it seems like this
strong
one
guy,
company,
it's like a little like,
Triforce,
plastic.
does them
It's like those
for every
ultimate
game.
muscle toys or something. Oh, is it Triforce again?
It seems like
I don't know.
Every one of them is made by Triforce.
Well, was it Triforce that was like that Batmobile edition of Arkham Knight that got canceled?
I have no clue.
Like 6 days before, I think it was they got the Batmobiles thing or something. They're like, yeah, we're not going to do this.
Well, this one you get a model and you get the statue.
The little metal Earth thing. That's pretty cool. Like I have some of those little metal Earth like Star Wars vehicle things. Those are pretty neat. They're small though.
Look how big the box is. You could live in that thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I've seen people on Skid Row with smaller homes than that.
Well, I mean, I don't know how you guys organize your games at home, but it's like you have all your nice, they're all nice and orderly, and then you have that like special edition you're trying to like jam in there. So, like, I don't care that much, but it's a little annoying.
And this one's my favorite. Comes with an arm.
Yeah.
A bionic arm.
Now, see, what I was talking about, like raising an eyebrow, like that raises an eyebrow. Like a little refrigerator, people be like, that's cool, man. I've never seen a little fridge before. But, dude, you have a robotic arm sitting on your table.
Well,
it goes in that little box. It looks like you've got like a humidor.
So, wait, since
at least you get the real game with this one.
Since Matt is on the mic right now, Matt, can you describe what your desk looked like at G4?
Oh, yeah.
Well, when it was covered in Transformers, or when it was covered in what?
I seem to remember someone walking by and being like, you'd be a pretty good like child abductor if you wanted to be. If you're a fan, that's the thing. Are you going to buy all of these? No, but if there's one you really like, I mean, personally, to go objectively, I think it's okay. Subjectively, I'm not going to buy any of this stuff.
I don't buy any of them. I've never bought a collector's edition with my own money.
Yeah,
ever.
I mean, I got BioShock one.
I've had them sent to me as like review copies or whatever. Like I think I got one for Black Ops 2 where it had like the little helicopter or something. But I've never paid for a collector's edition.
I had my girlfriend pick me up. I was out of town, and I had my girlfriend pick me up Resident Evil 5, and she got me the collector's edition, which was like $20 more or something. I was like, oh. Man, okay, thanks, honey.
That's an expensive like pick-me-up fee, $20.
How about this one? Look, there it is.
Oh yeah, and so this really kind of makes a point, and the point that I was trying to get at is that it's just getting ridiculous. Like, do we really need a collector's edition of Tales of Zestiria?
There's Tales fans.
Of course there are, but
they're going to do a limited print. I mean, that's what I was saying. The bean counters have to do the calculus. How many can we make where we sell out? Or there's only a trickle left.
Yeah, all the Tales of like limited editions in America become super valuable, like
because there aren't any.
Because they barely make enough to fit demand, and then if you didn't get in on the pre-order bandwagon, you're not getting it.
There was some JRPG like 3 or 4 years ago, and it literally came with a not a sex doll, but like a blow-up doll.
Oh, that was.
I don't think it was anatomically correct or anything.
No, but I know which one. It was like Record of something.
Record of Lodoss War?
No, like Agarest.
Agarest, right?
Yeah.
Agarest.
And it's like
Agarest War.
Okay. Yeah.
The really naughty limited edition. That's what that was called.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, if people didn't buy them, they would make them.
This is just like an eyesore to read all this stuff, though.
I mean, just look at that. I mean...
It's
not a very attractive
in Japan,
image.
Like all those games get stuff like this, though. I mean, that's like a thing. It's the collector culture that exists around that genre.
And they have tiny apartments.
Yeah.
Where are they going to put that steel case? Oh wait, they're not going to buy Halo.
Well,
No
the
big
case
eight.
for Zestiria doesn't look that much smaller, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. But it looks like you. Well, do you get the game, like the hard copy?
Yeah,
of the
Game disc right in the
There
front.
it is.
And one last one.
Just Cause 3, where you get a hook shot, a non-working hook shot. That's probably the most. That's probably the worst of them all.
No, that's the best because like 3 days after that comes out, you're going to read a story like on Kotaku where it's like man loses eye playing with Just Cause collectible.
It doesn't work though. It's just
People will find a way.
To me, that's the silliest one. Like, really, if you're talking about the eye raising quotient, there's the biggest eye raiser right there. The grappling hook on a pedestal that will just sit there and do nothing.
How many replica guns and swords did Jeremy Hoffman have?
Yeah, he did have a lot. But I mean, also, if you look at the rest of the collector's edition for Just Cause 3, like, there's just really not that much there.
Let me ask you, what would you want from a collector's edition?
I'm cool with statues, but I'm really cool with stuff that's functional, something that you get some use out of. Like, I thought that Black Ops collector's edition was great. They gave you like a little drone that you could play with. It was fun to play with.
And there's the RV car before.
Yeah, I think Black Ops generally does theirs pretty well. And again, I feel like the fridge is something that you actually use. It's not something that you just put somewhere and you have to dust every like 2 weeks or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's something that you actually get some use out of or can mess around with. And so generally for me, any collector's edition that has something like that where it actually has some functionality to it and it's not just something to look at is something that would resonate more with me. And what about you? What are you looking for?
I'll know it when I see it. I mean, I don't know, like looking for utility in something that's like being sold as collectible. I mean, I'm not saying doesn't make sense, but I don't think I'd ever really be expecting that. No. I mean, it's kind of like I remember Rohan at GT had the little RC car, and it's like he said he used it once, and then they used it on one of those that combat fax things, so they could like shoot. They put a camera on it, and they could like shoot at it.
Right.
And it's like. Yeah. Little soldier, it's done its due.
But you've done something with it. It's better than just putting it up on like the hell the stuff I have up here.
And now that like most soundtracks are just like MP3 download codes now, or they'll do like a CD with 2 tracks. And the little art books are usually a disappointment compared to like the big art books. So I mean, most of the stuff I've seen hasn't been really cool. Vinyl records I think are cool. That's cool. That's useful.
Right, it's functional. So that's what I say. It has to be functional.
Big.
You have to get the actual real game with it. But that's the other stipulation for me.
I also own 0 game statues or tchotchkes, but I've also spent, I'm not really a collector, but I have spent, some money at some points in my life on like rare games that I don't actually play, just to like own them. And that is like kind of the collector mentality, even if it's not like the writ large, get a lot of everything, get a complete set sort of thing. So.
I also feel like maybe part of the phenomenon for this stuff is that for the longest time, like there really was no video game merchandise. And really the only people that got it were game journalists in America. Like it's been in Japan for forever. You can go to a capsule machine and get game-related stuff there. Here, it's really hard to find. Like, still, like you can't really walk into like stores and buy game-related merchandise unless it's a hot topic for
Spencer's Gifts.
For a Pac-Man t-shirt or something. But like as far as stuff like this, like you can't really walk into stores and buy it. So, I almost feel like part of it is like a lot of people were deprived of it for so long, and now that the stuff is here, they're like, I'm going to buy it because I wanted it for a long time.
I will say, I mean, kind of tangentially related. When like Mass Effect 2 came out, I did see a ton of people wearing Mass Effect 2 clothing because it kind of looked like
they put out that whole clothing line
like the
for
N7,
Mass Effect.
Yeah. So like there is that kind of crossover where I think with Pokemon like the toys kind of came out and stuff for maybe the younger audiences, but I guess you're right when you look at stuff like and
now you're looking at amiibos and all the Toys to Life stuff.
But when you're looking at like stuff like Metal Gear or even like I guess Just Cause, like if you are a fan like Brandon Jones for example, maybe he really wants that grappling hook because he's really into the game.
It's like, do you ever wonder if like Victor Ireland, who ran Working Designs, who back in like the 16-bit days, they were the only ones who did collectors things like that. You ever wonder if he looks at all like that huge industry that's sprung up around that now, and he's just like, you jerks! Like he was so far ahead of his time.
He should have patented it and got rich because that somebody patented like the word podcast and and makes like millions of dollars a year and tries to sue people for saying the word podcast.
The patent trolls, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I still don't see myself buying any collector's editions. I mean, even the Black Ops 3 one. Like, am I gonna spend $200 for that? No. Like, I just buy the game and
you've got a nice fridge here already.
Yeah. So. I do. I have a kegerator with a football.
I think it will sell well. They're like college kids. They always like that's like one of the top gifts for kids going to the dorm or
mini
getting
fridge,
a little apartment.
For sure.
Yeah,
but that's not like a real mini fridge. Like
holding a 12-pack.
That's all you need when you're in college.
I'm not really joking. Like
I'm not either.
I had a mini fridge, and I think you shouldn't even keep tequila in the fridge.
I
kept like my tequila in the fridge.
Yeah.
And, like,
a 12-pack or 240s, I'm guessing you can fit in there, and that's really all you need if you're in college. All right, so it's time to move on to PewDiePie, probably one of the more polarizing people in the games industry in general, not just journalists. And I guess I don't think he'd even call himself a journalist, but he is certainly probably the most influential single person in video games that does not make video games. Can we agree with that? Will you agree with that, Ryan?
I've never even thought about something like that, so I'm not really sure. Most influential person in video games who doesn't make video games?
Yeah.
I think there's a very strong case to be made.
Sure. I mean,
that's a pretty big deal. That's a big title to have.
He's got influence in a very specific demo. I mean, did you see him on South Park?
Yeah.
I mean, it's that
they
whole,
nailed it.
The kids aren't playing Dragon Age; they're watching him play Dragon Age or what. I think it was Dragon Age. I don't even remember.
Yeah.
But you're right. They did kind of nail it. I guess he's polarizing. He's definitely not my cup of tea, but I don't actually find him like. He doesn't make me angry.
No, I don't know how it could make you angry. And so I guess we should set up the topic a little better. Basically, what happened this week was that it came out. I don't even know how these numbers get out there because it's not like everyone's tax returns are just public knowledge for people to look at.
Well, isn't he like a Swiss citizen or something?
He is, I believe.
Sweden. I always get Sweden mixed up. I'm an American.
I believe he's Swedish.
So maybe through that, I know they have a lot more.
Maybe they have to disclose that stuff, but it came out that he made $7.5 million last year off his YouTube channel.
Right?
Allegedly.
Still,
well, I mean, he came out and did a video where he doesn't deny that that's how much money he made. And then if I remember correctly, last year he made around $5 million.
I remember hearing 3.5, but
and that
millions.
became public knowledge, but there wasn't really an uproar over it last year. This year, for whatever reason, when it came out that he had made 7.5 or whatever it was, people went crazy over this, and it was a lot of jealousy.
I'd go
anger.
crazy over this. Look at that. It's pretty good. Even with the sound off.
Yeah. Where do you think this anger is rooted, Ryan?
It could have been me. I mean,
you think that's what it
is? Air quotes. I mean,
because it really is.
Well,
and it could have been anybody.
Before we started rolling, you also said he knows his audience. He does a fair amount of production on his work.
Yeah, he edits his own videos.
But it's not like it's overproduced, right? Like
no.
this is
I
something.
think he intentionally underproduces.
It's jump cuts. He cuts out I'm sure he's cutting out the boring stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I think sometimes. My honest counter argument, and this is just going off of numbers, as someone who's worked in internet media, it's depressing how little money he made, actually.
Yeah, I know. Because
when you're serving billions of videos, a TV show on basic cable that's pulling like 1.5 million viewers, is making proportionally much more money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the whole old media, new media thing, and I know we could talk about that as a separate thing for days, but I just wanted to put that out there. Nothing to do with his personality, just looking at his pure numbers, or not even his content, except for the traffic that he's doing. And even with ad block or whatever, it's actually depressing how little he makes. And I know he has some staff and stuff like that, but still, it's like...
No, it's true.
You should be making a lot more money if you're the most subscribed person.
No, I consider for even a B-list movie star, 7.5 million is pretty much what you need to get him in the building.
I mean, it's embarrassing. In my opinion, it's embarrassing for YouTube that's how much money their number one star made. Think about that. He said on his video, when he kind of answered to all these angry people, that he has served 8 billion videos. Yeah. 8 billion.
He's like the McDonald's of the internet.
I remember our best year at GT, we served 1 billion. And it took us to December 28th, it ticked over and we did 1 billion. But that was when first of all, GT was just a beast then. Our reviews were doing like 1.5 million views a piece, and all the trailer traffic was coming to us. It was before the advent of YouTube, and we were the first video game website that had a user movie system. And those videos probably pulled in, I think it was 35 to 40% of all our traffic, just the user videos on GT.
Haloid.
So think about all the people that worked to create that, and all the other people who are uploading user videos on our site for us to get to 1 billion, and he is one guy.
Yeah.
It is amazing. And it is, you're right, it is embarrassing that that's all he made. I mean, it just shows you that internet advertising is so devalued. Like, basically how it breaks down on YouTube is to make $1,000, you have to serve 1 million video views.
I mean, I think the way it kind of comes down to, it's like a lot of things. It's like, there's the content and then the ad stuff. And, what's it, Mystery Guitar Man? He's a top 10 YouTube subscriber. He doesn't make that much money off his YouTube videos. He averages like 2 million views a video. What it is
$2,000 per video.
But what it does is it opens him up. So he's now he's like probably 26 now, but he's directed like car commercials. Yeah. There was this great article in the New York Times a couple years ago about this guy. This guy wrote this article about how we should all work less and not work as hard. And he wrote a follow-up article where he's like, it was like the 4th most viewed article in the New York Times that year, and he still got his flat fee, but it led to a book deal. Right. And now he got to write this other article and all this other stuff.
But so, are there really opportunities for most people who make videos on YouTube?
It's I think it's one of those things where I think he isn't really, he's shilling in the point where I think, people he gets code before game outlets a lot of times. I remember he got Dying Light, but I don't think he's, and that's the whole ethics.
They're begging him to play their game.
There's the whole ethics of what level of shilling that is. But he's not like going around and actually doing, like, he's running ads, but he's not really doing like endorsements or anything like that, or at least like out and out endorsements. And he's at the top of the pyramid. And the thing is, that's the question. That's where you want to rip down the veil and see how much of that is. Because is that just his ad revenue, or is there a back-end revenue being run in for him to do stuff?
Well, here's the other thing.
The whole ethics thing.
Well, here's the thing. Like, some of that money is publishers just saying, here's $20,000 to play our game. I mean, that totally happens. He makes no qualms about the fact that he's not a journalist. He doesn't care about editorial integrity. He's an entertainer. He'll tell you that.
No, but I mean, it's like when, I remember like mommy bloggers being like, we'll only review your stuff if you give us money. Yeah. And, no one bats an eye.
Well, there's a lot of Twitch streamers that are taking money for streams, and some of them are honest, some of them aren't. There's that whole gray area going on, and we've talked about that on this show before, and it's been talked about in every other video game show before. But
and just to like turn back to him being popular, I run this quote into the ground, and I don't even know where this quote comes from, but I know I've heard it before. Even during Shakespeare's time, people preferred bear baiting, which is like you tease a bear and then like kill it, to like watching a Shakespeare play. You know, like this is like, this is easy to watch. It's like, he laughs, he gets scared, he yells.
But do you think it's easy? Because here's the thing about PewDiePie. Every single person I talk to about PewDiePie says the same exact thing. It's not for me, but I respect him. Every single person. I don't even know
if it's respect. It's just like, okay.
But no, he works hard. I mean, there's no denying it, dude. Yeah. He's a hard worker, and he's creative, and he's a good editor, too. Like, his videos are... you can tell he works very hard at making them look a certain way.
Yeah.
I think he probably spends more time making his videos look bad so that the kids like them and think they're quote-unquote legit than he would spend if he were just cutting it and making it look professional. Because all the little things that he does, I mean, if you actually watch his stuff, he does a good job, man. He's a good editor. He's funny. He's quick-witted. He does manage to find stuff about games that's really funny that I don't even really pay attention to. Like, he's perfect at his job, and he's a hard worker. And to me, he deserves everything that he's getting, and more, like a lot more. And people on YouTube who are only serving 5 or 6 million videos a year should be making a hell of a lot more money than they're making. Like, YouTube is ripping all these people off, but they're
But then YouTube's not even making a profit either.
It isn't?
No, supposedly they're like about breaking even.
I thought they made a shit ton of money last year.
No, they're about breaking even in the last couple things I read.
Well, the bottom line is something's going to have to change with internet advertising, because if the only way you can make that kind of money is to serve 8 billion video views, something is broken. And so something's going to have to give eventually. But I just find it interesting that he is this popular, and I have never found a single person that says that they watch his stuff and they like it. Nobody.
You hang out with
you should talk to more like teens.
Yeah, I mean, is that really what it is? It's
Hey, little boy, do you like PewDiePie?
But see, that starts to bring in some gray
See
area.
Matt's desk?
But see, that also brings in gray area where technically he's playing games that these kids, and they are kids, are not supposed to even be watching in the first place. One. Two, the demographics. So these advertisers are being told, who are advertising in front of PewDiePie's videos, do you think that they know that all the people watching their ads are like 5 years, 8 and 10 years old?
There's still a lot of 8-year-olds playing Call of Duty that shouldn't be technically. I mean, I don't know.
Sure.
That's like kind of a little old man yells at cloud argument. You know?
Really?
Yeah.
Demographics? That's all advertising is about. You set your ad rates based on demographics.
It's the same reason they advertise cigarettes to kids, you know?
When? Where? When?
The whole history of cigarette advertising.
Oh, you mean like way back in the day?
Like Joe Camel and stuff like that, like having a family face, or like in other countries and stuff like that. Yeah, you know, you hook them when they're young. And also, you know, the most prized demographic in the world is 18 to 34?
18 to 34.
Yeah. Which I'm about to be leaving, thank God. You know?
Then no one will care about you anymore.
All those boys are going to be in that demo. So
yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
Still, it's a little
and also
because you pay rates based upon the demo.
But it's so cheap. It's really cheap advertising too.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's not really cheap if you're the one who wants to advertise. Like, it's not.
It's cheaper than like terrestrial television.
YouTube just keeps all the money and gives hardly any to the people who are actually creating the content.
But but then you don't have to pay server fees. I mean, it's a lot of tit for tat. It's not good for like anyone. But I mean, I don't know. I don't see that as a real hot button issue. I think kind of what internet advertising in a lot of ways is kind of just throwing stuff into the ether, or you do a lot of weird SEO massaging, and that's all getting back end corrupted as well. So it's kind of like a weird like corrupt game of chess, basically. That's
probably a good way to put it. I think all three of us can agree that we have no problem with the money that PewDiePie is making.
Yeah, he should give us some. He's a great presenter.
I wish he'd give me some, but other than that, like, I would love to meet him someday.
He knows exactly who his audience is, and he knows exactly how to present to them, and I can't hate on that.
I would like to meet him someday, just to shake his hand and congratulate him, because you can tell he's smart. Like, he knows exactly what he's doing, and he's created like pretty much his own genre of media. I mean, nobody else really does what PewDiePie does, even though everyone's seen what he does and could very easily try to emulate it. Nobody has managed to do it and be successful at it. So that shows that
it's like Michael Jackson.
Yeah. You're raising an eyebrow.
There's a million people doing it, and they don't get as many views.
They're not doing what he's doing,
but they're still getting hundreds of thousands of views. I mean, I run into these things all the time.
He is different than all the Let's Players, though. Every Let's Player is like their face in a little window in the corner. Like, they don't cut it all up. Like, he goes in and like adds sound effects to his stuff. And
I see what you're saying. No, but I've totally seen videos where people do the same stuff. They're not at his scale, but there's a ton of people. It's kind of like when the angry video game nerd came on, and then suddenly there was like the slightly pissed off Sega nerd and like the
annoyed gamer.
My mom bought me a TurboGrafx, so I'm permanently upset for the rest of my life. Dweeb. I don't know. There's all of that stuff. Yeah. So.
I haven't seen anybody do it as well as him, and I look at YouTube videos all day, every day.
I don't know. I think maybe you're putting on a little more accolades to his editing acumen than I would.
Yeah.
I mean, it's there. I'm not saying it's not there, but I'm saying there are other people. It's just, this is the one that's stuck, right?
I give him more credit than that, but it's time to move on. We got the buzzer a while ago, so... Our next topic of the Big Six is another issue that's been one of those things that for whatever reason this week it came to a head, but it's been a problem that's been kind of lying around for a long time, and that is PlayStation Network. And you know what? I was a lot more forgiving on PSN when it was free. A hell of a lot more forgiving. And in fact, I was just glad that I could play online and not have to pay money at all. I didn't really care if it was slow or if the store didn't load or any of that stuff. But you know what? Now that I've had to pay for PlayStation Network for a couple years, my opinion's changing, and it does matter to me now that when I go to download a game, I do it before I go to bed, and I wake up in the morning, and sometimes it still hasn't finished. And I do care that when I load up the store, or try to load up the store, it's not there and it's not working. And I do care when I go to play a game and it won't connect the servers like it has with Rocket League all week this week. So my patience for PSN is starting to run out, and apparently I'm not alone in this. Everyone else is starting to lose their patience with it as well, Ryan.
Yeah. I mean, all the stuff you just mentioned where it's very like network-based, I completely agree, especially now that it's like a paid service, and I haven't even seen them do... I think there was
because
once...
to me, that's the basics that you have to get right.
I think there was once where they've added like what was it, Lizard Squad or something?
They hacked him on Christmas, which is a whole other story that happened this week, where the guy that did that isn't actually going to jail.
But I remember, I think they credited everyone a week of PSN. But I remember when Xbox would go down. I
think it was actually 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, but I just remember getting way more credited days for Xbox Live back in the day when Xbox Live was a little more rocky.
Yeah.
And it feels like, I don't know.
You would also get the free 30-day things inside games for Xbox
But
Live.
I followed this a little bit, and it seems like people are confusing PSN a little bit with just the user interface as well, because a lot of people are making network stuff, but a lot of
there's other issues
functionality.
Too,
but I think people should. Most of my downloads start really slow, and then they do kind of creep faster, which is annoying because you look at it and you're 14 hours, and then you take a pee and you come back and it's 12 minutes, and you're like, okay.
I don't know if I've ever downloaded anything on PSN in 12 minutes.
No, it can be really bad, and obviously I play Destiny, and that has a lot of lag in multiplayer. But it's stuff they definitely need to address. Ever since they had that 42-day outage back in the day when they were hacked, they need to beef up whoever their server network department is, for sure. Especially as they're becoming more and more popular. I don't think it's a crazy demand. I just don't know. I don't know how focused it is. I know they made a website now and everything.
Here's the thing.
But it doesn't seem crazy at all. Everything they're asking for makes sense.
The free games, I think, are the saving grace of PSN. The PlayStation Plus free games. Because I think a lot of people almost build in an excuse for the lackluster parts of PSN because they're getting a few free games a month. And I don't know about you, but I download these games. I think I actually ever end up playing maybe 20% of the free games I get on PlayStation Plus. Is your number higher than that?
No, I sample pretty much everything.
Yeah. I have a lot of games I've downloaded to both my Xbox One and my PlayStation 4 that I never even touched.
Now that there's the parity between Xbox and it's you have to pay for online anyway, and they're the same price, it's okay, it's cool. I feel like PlayStation's been generally better in the free game department than Xbox. I know they kept shoving the pool game. I can't remember what it's called. The billiards
pool
game.
Effects or something.
Yeah, like that down your throat. The slow downloads is an issue. Some of it I don't know if it's again, I've only recently only been playing Destiny, so I don't know if it's the Destiny servers versus PSN. I'm not entirely sure. And of course, all the hacking attacks and stuff like that. But yeah, PSN goes down a lot.
But look, the people who have started this, and it was basically just a hashtag, and I think it was, I can't remember, it was what it was called. It was, the hashtag I think was better PSN or something like that. I can't remember what it was. But the people who started the hashtag, they're pissed off about the stuff we talked about, but they're also pissed off about other basic features of a network, just login issues.
Yeah, no, I saw double. They want double authentication.
Yeah, and the ability to send audio messages to other users, just stuff that we've been doing on Xbox Live for 10 years. Yeah, and it still isn't a part of PSN.
And I think it's one of the things where now that PlayStation is the leading platform in the States,
they should be the leader in this
everywhere,
space as well.
Not to jump ahead too far, but they have to play some catch up. I don't think it's maybe the outages are obviously the worst. I think,
and that's the other thing. The thing goes down 2 or 3 times a week,
but
where you just can't access it at all.
I guess I just don't feel. I don't just feel that outraged about some of the basic functionality, but I think as we become this more streaming centric. Your TV and your box, be it an Apple TV or a PS4 or a Roku or a Chromecast, I think these functionality things are going to be way more important, and it's what people are going to, Sony, if they want, haven't they been shutting, don't they not even make TVs anymore, right? Is that
Sony?
true?
Yeah, I think they just stopped making TVs.
So they need to step it up. They have a good head start, and they need to follow through because this is the kind of the stuff people are going to want and need. And I kind of roll my eyes when people are better Facebook functionality, but people are going to want it. I think
a lot of it depends on how much you use your PS4. How much do you use your PS4?
It's my primary console right now.
So, but still, how often do you play it?
Are you counting streaming and stuff like that?
You mean streaming
TV and
yeah, like Netflix and stuff?
Yeah, every day.
Yeah. Because I think the anger over this is directly proportional to how much you use it. Because if somebody uses their PlayStation 4 as their primary way to get to Facebook, and that almost everybody uses Facebook all day, every day, you could see where it would be really annoying if Facebook doesn't integrate properly into their PlayStation 4, whereas I use my PlayStation 4 just to play video games, and that's pretty much it. Like, I don't really stream anything through it. I end up doing all that on my Xbox One because it's already linked into my TV. Like, my cable box goes through it, so that's kind of become my de facto, like, entertainment box. Consequently, I hardly ever play games on my Xbox One. I play all my games on my PS4, but so to me, what really angers me is when it's laggy, or it takes a long time to download an update, or I get an error and can't download an update, like Rocket League this week. Like, I couldn't download the multiplayer update for the first day and a half it was available. I couldn't download the stinking update.
That's the one thing I wish they had inherited from Xbox is, do you remember, like, the same game on an Xbox 360 or a PS3? It would be a 3 meg patch on the Xbox and like a 2.9 gig patch on the PS3. And that has not been... Honestly, I play almost nothing on Xbox right now, so I'm not really sure how they handle patches. But like the patches now are sometimes like bigger than the games.
Yeah. Well, the patch yesterday, the multiplayer patch, when I finally got it to work for Rocket League, was like 1.5 gigs.
Yeah.
Which it's like, what? Like...
And I'm sure it could have probably been diced down to insert some bytes somewhere.
Oh, for sure.
Be a lot smaller.
Yeah, it was totally bloated. So... I mean, look, I think, and I feel that these people have every right to be angry, especially, the other thing, too, is that a lot of people, they only have a PlayStation 4. They don't have an Xbox One or some other system to play games on. And so, looking at it from the perspective of someone who relies on the PlayStation 4 for everything, all their entertainment needs, all their gaming needs, all their everything, like, to me, it's not good enough, especially this far into the game. It isn't like, look, PSN has been around for a long time. It was just free for a long time. And look, I totally understand why they're like, well, we don't really want to invest a ton of money in something that people aren't paying for yet. But they still had that backbone there that they just needed to build on top of. And here we are, 2 years into a console that's absolutely dominating worldwide, not just America, worldwide. Their financial fortunes have completely reversed and changed. They're doing great financially now on the back of the PlayStation 4 sales.
Yeah, I mean...
So... For me, it feels like they've been neglectful of PSN and haven't taken the money that they're making and reinvested it back into where they should be.
It's infrastructure, so I think it will take time. But I think, I think this is kind of a no-brainer. And, they got to aim for that, what is it, like the 99 point... Is it 3 nines, where it's like... 3 nines, if you do the math, is like 8 hours of downtime a year, or something like that. They need to go for that, like, the 3 nines.
Right.
They can have a couple service breaks, but, I think as we enter this world where... I know you said you have cable, but as you know, that's dying out and people are doing more to internet stuff. You need something that's not a computer, but is a computer to interface
PlayStation View.
To interface with your
TV. They have that service. That's what I'm saying, though. They have
important.
Stuff like PlayStation View, but they can't get PSN right. That's prioritizing.
I also don't think PSN's quite as bad as some people are belly aching about it.
I would disagree with that.
But
it goes down like every other day.
I guess I'm not personally running into it that often. So I guess when I'm playing,
all you got to do is look at a news.
Oh yeah, no,
look at the itty blog.
No, I know. You go on Gath every day and there's a new thread.
Because it is down every day.
Yeah, I don't know how long it's down for. If it's like region
different.
Specific,
some days it's an hour. Some days it's 2 hours.
But no, it's definitely. But I do agree. Like this is a no-brainer. We're on the same page. It's something they really need to fix.
Yep. All right, time to move on to Xbox One, and not a rosy story for the Xbox One either. Just today it came out that Microsoft has decided it will not attend Tokyo Game Show this year. Earlier in the week, a story came out about the console market in China, and it is doing terrible. So, looking at things, and looking at the Xbox One, it's completely... you can't even... I don't know what to say about it in Japan. I mean, there was 1 week where it sold 100 units in Japan. It's not doing well in China. PS4 is not doing well in China either, and we'll get to that in a second. Then you say, okay, well, what about Europe? Well, it's getting its butt kicked in Europe as well.
It's always been Sony land over there, though.
It always has been, and traditionally Japan has always been Sony land. But that doesn't change the fact that Microsoft needs to be successful in these territories, and so and in America, where it was its stronghold last generation, it's getting its butt handed to it here as well in America. Right. Do you think Microsoft will keep supporting the Xbox brand if it doesn't manage to become successful outside of the United States?
Do you remember when they debuted the Xbox One and they didn't talk about games?
Yeah.
I think... Do you remember when Sony made the PSP Go?
Yeah, I have a PSP Go.
I think sometimes people just do things a little too early. Like I was saying before, where the PlayStation 4 is being set up as a game system, but now it can be your gateway to internet entertainment, for lack of a direct word that means any of that stuff. TV 2.0. I think they tried to do all this stuff. Obviously, the Kinect no one even mentions anymore, and HoloLens looks cool, but I mean, I don't know about the functionality of that thing. I don't know if Microsoft would pull the plug. I know there's been talks with, I forget his name, the guy who's the new Steve Ballmer. He's got a Southeast Asian
I don't remember his name either.
But
he's mentioned. Like, there's been rumblings that they're going to try to sell the Xbox brand.
No, his last big missive that got leaked was and that we're going to continue to work on the Xbox brand. It was on the things that we're going to be working on, which, stock analysts can read that a million different ways, but I just have to go with my gut, and it's I think, they've put in a ton of money. They put in 3 generations of hardware. I think they're going to stick it out. And it's it's not dire in the US. It's not good, but
no, it's definitely not dire. It is selling better than the Xbox 360 did at the same time of its lifespan in the US.
They should have never even released in Japan. Personally,
I agree with that. I've said that on this show.
You look at the 360 or the original Xbox. They're we're buying Shenmue 2. I guess you could still play it on Dreamcast over there. But Blue Dragon.
No. That's what I wanted to talk about.
Blue Dragon, Chopin's Revenge, or Trusty Bells, or whatever that game was.
Oh, there's tons of. Look,
they tried to cater.
Oh my God, did they try? They basically
and it didn't work.
Got 4 or 5 exclusive Japanese RPGs just for the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
And it sold better than Xbox One at least, but still nowhere near the numbers that they needed. I mean, honestly, if you were a JRPG fan, Xbox 360 was kind of the console to own last generation.
Well, early on. I think it kind of evened out later on.
Well, a lot of the games that were originally released for Xbox 360 eventually ended up coming out for the PS3. Blue Dragon never did, though. It stayed exclusive to Xbox 360 forever.
But do you really want to play Blue Dragon? I guess you want to hear that sweet song.
Well, you can see it right now. I mean, no, I don't want to play Blue Dragon.
There's some good
but there are a lot
of
people in Japan who may want to play Blue Dragon.
Yeah.
But look, there was others, too. It wasn't just that game.
Yeah. No, you're right. The Chopin game was actually PS3. But they shouldn't have gone to Japan. I know they felt like they had to. No, I think that it was good for them to have tried. I mean, hindsight's 20/20, as they say, so it's easy to be nope, they shouldn't have gone. But I think it probably made sense. I mean, they tried. They shouldn't have gone with the Xbox One after they saw how the Xbox 360.
No, I agree 1,000,000%. The funny part is they still have shelf space in Japan game stores. I don't know how that is.
They have to be in Europe, I feel like.
Because they do have a puncher's chance in Europe.
But
I mean, look,
I think they can make money in Europe.
Make or break for them
make money
is coming up very soon. When Halo 5 comes out for Xbox One, that is going to be very telling in Europe, because that is the one franchise that has traditionally done really well in Europe for Xbox. Everything else that's come out so far, Halo's the big dog. And that's when you'll really see if they have a chance to really make any inroads in Europe, or if they're just doomed. Well, we probably both know they're already doomed to second place in Europe, if they're lucky. But
yeah, well, if the Wii U starts out selling the Xbox One in Europe, that would actually be interesting.
That would be a big deal, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they can make money in Europe. I don't know if they can make a lot of money, but I don't think, we haven't really had a really sad, even the Wii U, we haven't really had a really bad second player or third player since the Saturn,
Yeah.
In the US anyway.
Right.
The Saturn didn't even break a million. I think it sold 900,000 units in the US. I mean, Genesis and SNES were great. No one owned a Master System. No one owned a TurboGrafx. I mean, I know they existed and stuff. Okay, that guy owned a TurboGrafx. The cards look really cool.
Yeah, they weren't the only ones.
Yeah. But, we're at a place where you can be in third place and you can eke out an existence, especially if you're Nintendo and you have a giant war
Nintendo turned a profit this past year. Somehow, some way, all those amiibos.
They have 14 employees. You see the Skylander that's also an amiibo?
Yeah, I saw
They're going to make so much money.
Yeah. I mean, it's a shame that it's got to the place where Nintendo's relying on little inarticulate toys to turn a profit.
Physical DLC.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what it is. It's just, instead of a code, you've got a little piece of plastic that holds your DLC on it, which...
But if you want to play the DLC and you can't find the plastic, then you're shit out of luck.
Yeah, you can't punch a code in and make it work. So, I mean, look, I disagree with you on the fact that if they're only successful in America, that Microsoft will continue to support the brand.
Well,
I don't think that's true. Microsoft is a global company.
Right.
It knows better than anyone the opportunities that are out there.
I think they can be profitable in Europe. That's what I'm saying.
I guess there's a lot of factors that go into that. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's
how much are they spending on marketing?
How big are their teams? Yeah, like
I mean, are they having massive flops where they're spending $200 million US on marketing it,
or,
and then
or
it sells
do you dredge
100,000 copies?
Do you dredge up the old rumor where they buy EA, and then you can only play FIFA on your Xbox One?
Yeah, but you know what? EA stock today went to the highest ever.
Yeah,
and so I don't see anyone buying EA.
I like to think it's Star Wars. That's doing that.
Oh, certainly, that is a big part. That's a big part.
No,
of
yeah,
it,
they've skyrocketed. They're up like $12 in the last 2 months or something like that.
Well, Star Wars is a big part of it, but they've also been really smart with how they've handled mobile. They are one of the traditional video game publishers that have not stumbled when trying to transition from that old console machine into the whole mobile thing. They've done it right. They've done it smart. They've picked the right brands and the right type of genres to work in the mobile space, and they're getting rewarded for it now. I mean, most video game publisher stocks are in the toilet, so to see EA go off like that is pretty shocking. I know you and I both kind of follow game stocks, or have for a while.
Yeah.
And so we both know that, finding a video game stock worth buying, even with the information that we have, is really hard.
And all of our insider trading that goes on.
Exactly.
I wear my suspenders.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't believe it. I think if Xbox One doesn't do better in Europe before it's all said and done, I would really start to wonder if they don't sell the brand or just shutter it altogether.
No, it will change. I mean, I know some of our upcoming conversations are kind of around this, but when people say this is the last console generation, I think they're half right and half wrong. I think whatever comes out next is going to be different in a lot of ways than we were expecting, And it's going to, I think the Xbox brand's probably going to stay. I mean, they're integrating it into Windows 10 a ton, right. And Windows 10 is supposedly not entirely awful.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that as well.
Excellent segue into our next topic, Ryan.
Thank you.
So, another bit of news that came out this week, and also I want to say before we even talk about this, is that there's a site that you guys should all be checking out called Unseen64. The guy who runs the site, he has some worm that works at Nintendo. I'm not even kidding, he has a friend there that is just feeding him all this insider information. He always reports it comes out, people deny it, and it always ends up being true. Just this week, he reported a bunch of stuff on Metroid, about all the issues they had with developing Metroid. He wrote did an expose on Project Hammer and all the internal conflict that Nintendo of Japan had with Nintendo of America in developing that game and how it was ultimately canceled. And one other thing that they've come out with this week is that the NX is not going to be as powerful as the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And so when you're talking about a system that comes out probably Q4 of next year, best case scenario, more likely scenario, sometime in 2017, that's a really, really, in my opinion, a bad idea, Ryan.
Well, I mean, it's Nintendo, The Wii was 2 GameCubes taped together, so maybe this is going to be 3 GameCubes taped together.
Or a Wii U and a Wii taped together.
I don't think, Nintendo has always had this idea, I think it's in some of their stock meetings, that they would be a 3 tentpole company, and they've never really ran on it. I think the Virtual Boy, they eventually wrote off as a toy, instead of being another thing. And I think people sometimes forget that, the Game Boy Advance and the DS overlapped. And then the DS was a huge success. And a lot of people were thinking that the DS was going to be its own thing, and Game Boy, there'd be a newer version of the Game Boy that was going to be kind of its third stance. I know a lot of people are talking about the NX being a streaming device. I'm curious because even with, despite Nintendo, like I said, Nintendo's big war chest, they are not a conglomerate. They are, they make video games and maybe they still make Hanafuda cards. I don't know. But, they can't do the network operations at a level of a Microsoft or a Sony. Even Sony. But,
it's trying to support 2 platforms at once and sometimes 3.
But I'm talking about when it comes to streaming because obviously we saw OnLive died. What is the thing called PlayStation Now?
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't used it. Which was Gaikai? I can't even remember.
Gaikai, yeah.
The Dave Perry thing.
Yep.
But what I do think of, and this is a huge stretch, this is not me claiming anything, but I think about the crazy zero latency between the gamepad and your TV with that stuff.
That they worked, according to them, very hard on.
Which is insane. Like, it's so good.
I
don't play my Wii U that often, but it is crazy when you try to check that stuff out. And when you walk 30 feet away, it dies or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if they are working on something. Obviously, Amazon's in the game department now. Obviously, Amazon is like, their cloud service is insane. Like, people don't even... They have a guy who lives on his own yacht, and he goes around the world and sets up new cloud centers for Amazon.
Not a bad gig.
You're not allowed to interview him. You're only allowed to know about him.
Right.
So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there maybe is weird stuff going on, and the NX is some sort of streaming thing. Or, maybe it is 3 GameCubes taped together, but, it does HD. Guess what? The PS4 and the Xbox One, at least at this point, aren't that crazy compared to their predecessors,
Well, look, they're not crazy, but that's what I'm saying is, like, they're not that crazy compared to their predecessors, but the truth of the matter is for them to make the leap that they did make, it took a lot. I mean, we're getting to the law of diminishing returns.
Exactly.
You have to spend a crap ton of money to get minimal results.
But if you think of the Wii U as HD already, right? Like, I know it doesn't have the RAM, it doesn't have the processor, definitely doesn't have the hard drive space.
Yeah.
But you add on to that the diminishing returns, you can maybe spend... It's like when you buy top-end computer gear, and then on Newegg, it's 2 months later on Newegg, it's like 40% cheaper.
Yeah.
In PS4 and Xbox One, they commit to these hardware builds that are expensive when they come out, and then over time they get cheaper. And they're not losing money selling the Razer anymore. At a certain point, this starts becoming a break even, and then profit on the hardware. Hopefully, I don't think it's doom and gloom. Like, maybe old me would have thought that like 10 years ago.
But there's a whole other angle that we haven't even started talking about yet, and that is software support for your platform.
Oh, third party.
Yeah. I mean, look at the Wii U. Because basically what we're looking at right now with the NX is a complete replication of what happened with the Wii U. And that's best case scenario, because you could probably argue that the Wii U is at least as powerful as the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, maybe even a little more powerful. Some of the early third-party stuff, when it had third-party games, actually looked better on Wii U than they did on the other platforms, with the exception of the first-party stuff for those other platforms. So here we are, getting ready for Nintendo's next console, and it's looking to do the same thing, where it is hoping to produce a console that's as powerful as the prior generation. And we've already seen this movie. And that movie was ultimately 6 months of third-party support for the platform before everybody bailed.
Right.
And Nintendo cannot, nobody can have a console survive and be successful if the first party is the only party making games for it.
I mean, the joke is you could look at the GameCube and...
GameCube had crazy third-party support.
I know, but
the games never sold very well, but publishers supported it for a long time.
Now they're bailing because they can't make the money.
They're smart. No, they're bailing now because they're smart. They figured it out. Like, it took them way too long to figure it out. They probably should have figured it out with the N64.
They can't make the money.
They can't make any money. Yeah. And they know that. And
but we are seeing Skylanders come out. We are seeing these partnerships come out for the Wii U.
Kids games, family games. But, those are the only games you're going to see from third parties.
What I will say is, if you look at Nintendo's track record, where, not to break things into trilogies, but you kind of look at, NES, Super Nintendo, N64, and then you get the GameCube. GameCube's kind of... N64 obviously lost to PlayStation, but, again, it was a very nice second place.
Look, it still sold 28 million in a time when consoles selling 28 million was pretty much unheard of. So.
But now you look at... so then there's the GameCube as this kind of transition period, We're like
they got to
full
like
3D,
19 or 20,
we're going to discs. You have the Wii with Waggle. Practically nothing has motion controls anymore, right?
Yeah.
The Wii has Waggle. Wii U comes out, gamepad. I think the NX is going to have a huge gimmick or novelty, however you want to describe it, and that's what we're trying to guess at now.
Miyamoto says he's not working on it, on the hardware.
That's why I think maybe the streaming rumor, or I don't even think it's a rumor, I think it's just speculation. Like, it has some weight for me, anyway. But I don't.
I
think
want
I don't think
physical Nintendo games. By
I
the
don't
way.
think it's
I don't
gonna
want
be.
I don't want a streaming.
Yeah,
NX.
no, me as well. I just don't know if it's going to be like. I don't know if it's going to be a typical console. Like even maybe more atypical than what the gamepad was.
But it's still, if it doesn't have third-party support, it's never going to survive. It's going to be in the same position of, oh yeah, here's like our last round of games from. Well, here's the last Assassin's Creed we made. Here's the last Batman we made. Here's the last Call of Duty we made.
If you take
and
away
we'll shove it on there, and then we'll never make another game for that system ever again.
If you take away the costs of pressing the discs, driving them to the distribution centers, printing the boxes and everything, I know. Well,
Ubisoft came out today and kind of laid out why downloadable games cost as much as retail games.
Right, but I'm just saying...
There's other hidden costs involved with it, so they don't save that much money by
there's
not pressing
bandwidth
the
and stuff
games.
like that, but there is, I don't know, I still see, like, having units sitting on a shelf is more real lost money than porting a game and letting people download it. So it could be a way to kind of rekindle some third-party support.
You're saying third parties downloadable instead of physical.
Or streamed. Yeah. I mean, assuming if there are no physical games to buy for the system.
You know, the streaming idea, honestly, I hadn't even heard that. I'd never heard that rumor.
Oh, I've heard it come
or
up a couple
whatever.
times.
The rumor I keep hearing, or the speculation is it's like a handheld you can take out with you, you come home, you dock it, and play it on your TV. That seems to be the most
well, I mean, in all
popular...
honesty, I think the future of computing is you're going to have a wireless keyboard, a wireless printer, you're going to have your phone or your tablet or something in between, and let's say you're a kid and you have to go write your paper. You go home, you press the button that syncs your video to your TV, you open up Microsoft Word. Unless you're like a developer in some way, or
most people don't need.
You could even
machines,
put there's already like a touch version of Photoshop, but I really think computers are probably gonna, not all computers, I don't want to be one of those guys, but like I think computers are gonna disappear a lot quicker than people may think, and it is really gonna be like, it's gonna be, the TV is gonna stay, even though cable's gonna die.
Look, if
it's gonna be cable, it's gonna be internet, TV, and your phone.
Well, look, if we can stream a video game, why can't we stream Microsoft Word? Or why can't we stream Photoshop? Or any other program?
We kind of already do when you use Google Docs. Yeah. I mean, it's not as robust. I hate saying the word robust. It doesn't have as many things going on as Word. But for 99% of the time, it does what you need it to do.
It does, yeah.
And it costs $0.
Yeah. So... I don't know. I'm of the opinion that if Nintendo cannot get third-party support back, it will never have another successful machine. And so maybe it's a chicken and an egg scenario where maybe Nintendo had already burned so many bridges with the GameCube and the N64 that third parties weren't going to really jump on with the Wii. Because actually, if you think about the launch of the Wii...
There was 100 games.
There was, yeah. But it was all like shovelware, basically. There was the one Tony Hawk racing game.
Yeah, there was Tony Hawk. There was like the Avatar game, which was good,
crap.
But it's not shovelware.
That was shovelware.
No, shovelware is like 50 carnival games.
Which made up 60% of the library.
With the Super Monkey Ball game and a bunch of mini
honestly,
games and
even though the Wii was a smash hit, it still didn't have great third-party support. Like, I look back at the best third-party game for that was, good God, I can't even think of one.
There was Mad World was good.
Deadly Creatures.
I mean, honestly, but that's the type of... But that's what I'm saying.
Hopper,
those are the type... Like, Boom Blocks was probably my favorite third-party game for the Wii. Like...
No More Heroes. No, there's some stuff, but yeah.
Even then, when they were a success...
one reason you buy a Nintendo system is to play Nintendo games.
Yeah, and what a lot of people would argue is the NX doesn't need to be powerful because with Nintendo's art style, they can get away with a lot lower powered machines. And look, I agree, Super Mario 3D World, it looks gorgeous. It doesn't matter how many polygons it's pushing. It still has a good lighting engine. Yeah. Mario Kart looks great. But I would like to see a Mario game on a kick-ass system. I would like to have my mind blown by graphics like I was in Super Mario 64.
Did you see that Unreal Engine 4 Mario demo?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Well, yeah, it's weird because
I know, it's
those were all placeholder environments from the middleware or whatever. But as far as the fidelity is concerned,
it's all style guides, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, art is art, and the art for that didn't fit Mario, but I could see the potential of shoving that tech into the Mushroom Kingdom. You could have some freaking awesome I mean, mind-blowing. Like, it's been a long time since I played a Mario game, and it blew me away the way Super Mario 64 did, where it was just so far ahead of the curve.
I mean, I would say... And
they have the opportunity here. They could learn from their past mistakes.
Again, for me, I haven't been impressed with graphics since the opening to The Last of Us. Nothing... I mean, I've been like, oh, this is nice, but nothing has been like, wow.
What about Uncharted 4, the demo that they just showed?
Nope.
Really?
I think a lot of that
you
stuff
need to look a little harder.
A lot of that stuff, it has to be like in front of me.
Yeah,
you know,
need to look harder
instead
at
of watching
demo.
like an internet video.
There is stuff going on in Uncharted 4 that...
No, it's cool, but I mean, you're looking at it a technical way, like re-looking. I'm just saying, being overwashed with wow. Like when, like you said, like the first time you see Mario, you just see it and you're like, wow.
I think Uncharted 4 does have that power, though, man.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting a little more cynical.
Just watch the mud. The mud in that game is like next level stuff.
Mud, Motorstorm.
It sounds like you're more optimistic than me that they can be a success with an underpowered
Well,
console.
I'm just saying this isn't gloom and doom. I still think they have a huge hole to dig their way out of.
But they weathered the storm with the Wii U, so to speak. They actually managed to turn a little bit of a profit last year. They still have lost their asses on R&D on that machine. And it has taken a little bit of a dent out of what people like to call their war chest. Look, you go through... And thank God they had the 3DS, because if the 3DS wasn't a success, they would have been screwed.
And that took a long time for it to be successful, too.
And still, when you compare it to the GBA, it hasn't been as big a success.
Or the original DS.
And look, I don't think if they do have this two-pillar thing, where they do have a handheld and a console, I don't think the next handheld will be as popular as the 3DS, because...
people have phones.
Yeah, and it's just going to keep... That market's just going to keep shrinking and shrinking. And so... they're not going to be able to rely on their handheld to pull the card anymore. I don't know, man. To me, it needs to make a huge splash with this next machine, whatever it is. It needs to be something that makes people go, wow.
I don't think it's going to be that. But I still don't think it's gloom and doom, necessarily.
Do you think they can...
I think Nintendo can do long... You watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
I think Nintendo can, like... They have, like, big... They have a lot of food. You know, they know winter is coming.
They can survive the winter, yeah.
Because they've had, like, mini winters before. Like, the droughts on the GameCube and the N64 were ridiculous, you know?
But we're going through the same thing right now with the Wii U.
Yeah, I mean, the Wii U is, like, their most dire console ever. And from...
Except for the
right out of the gate.
Virtual Boy.
Right out of the Virtual Boy. But, I mean, I don't know. They don't have that many employees.
That's a problem. They need to take that money and hire people.
I mean, they can work on something. Is it going to be a big failure like the gamepad? And I am calling at this point, the gamepad is a failure.
Oh, the Wii U is a failure.
Wii U, yeah.
Yeah, it is a 100% failure.
I mean, I think we'll see the NX. I think it's going to be something kind of quirky. Who knows, really, right? I mean, it really is all speculation. I mean, even this rumor, and you know this Unseen 64 guy? It's like, what was his name? Crazy Buttocks.
Yeah, from back in the day.
Everything's right until they're wrong. Or Surfer, do you remember Surfer Girl?
Yeah.
Everything's right till they're wrong. I don't know. We'll see.
This guy, I don't know. This guy, the proof is in the pudding ultimately with this guy.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, you can't be right 100% of the time. Nobody ever is. So we will see. All right, so that's going to do it for the Big Six for this week's episode. But we do have a trailer of the week. And this week, it is for Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Zombie Mode. Ryan, it has Mr. Perlman.
Ron Perlman?
Ron Perlman.
I loved him in Beauty and the Beast.
And Jeff Goldblum.
I saw Jeff Goldblum on my birthday. He plays jazz standards at the Derby in Los Feliz Village. It's pretty interesting.
I wonder how relevant either of these two guys are to the millennials, the majority of which will be buying the next Call of Duty. But nonetheless, it looks really cool. Before we go to the trailer, though, if you guys have any questions for us, ask them now. And when we come back, we're actually going to switch things up a little bit this week because it's kind of hard for us to get the questions in at the end. So if you have any questions for us, ask them now in the chat, and we'll answer them when we come back from the trailer of the week before we go into our deep dive for the week. So here it is, the trailer for Black Ops 3 Zombies.
Streets on flame, it's a mad game, makes you stop and stare.
Your sins serve only as an invitation. An invitation to an evil beyond your imagination.
You want to know what I think? I think we're being punished. I think all this is happening because we're bad people. Anyone interested in front row seats to their own deaths?
I know who you are. I have seen each and every one of your misdeeds.
Magic little wicked queen. Come on, take a spin.
Fight's over. You lost.
You know what I am? I'm a fucking samurai killing machine. That's what I am.
Let's try to make it happen.
I don't even have to get my hands dirty.
Wicked fight. And then we'll start to throw.
Ah, it appears that the shield is quicker than the eye.
Yes, I would like some candy.
That's like taking candy from a baby without the baby.
If it imbues me with power,
Then shoo I will.
Let's see what this flavor does for me.
you guys are too slow, too dumb, and too dead.
Oh, that's no good. What is that? What on earth? You know what's fucking weird? I don't consider this shit weird anymore.
What the hell is that?
I just know this ain't gonna be a fair fight.
You got my wife beat. She only has 2 faces.
Boots on a Saturday night. Always trying to make it happen. Sway, don't miss in the wicked fight. And then we'll start
Now they're airborne.
swaying.
Come on, you flying shitheads. I'm ready for you.
Boots on a Saturday night. Always trying to make it happen. Sway, and then it's over the dark. And then we'll go.
We'll never surrender.
Skin boots on a Saturday night.
There you have it. Most of the people in the chat are not liking that, by the way. A lot of people are like, what the hell is this? I mean, it looks like The Darkness. Remember that game that was based on the comic?
Yeah,
I think you actually reviewed that for TT
yeah,
back in the day.
Starbreeze game.
Yeah.
First one was pretty cool. Yeah, sure is a Call of Duty Zombies
Matt,
trailer.
what did you say? It combined Casablanca and what?
To me, it looks like Arkham Horror meets like Casablanca film noir stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah. It
Like
is
I can
pretty
see
odd.
why people would be put off by it, but I mean, you gotta go crazy with this stuff now to like keep the interest.
Yeah, otherwise I think people just don't care anymore.
I always kind of thought like my kind of personal definition of camp is like being really corny but really like owning it.
Yeah.
You know, and I always feel like that's one reason like camp succeeds in some ways, you know, because it's like it's being earnest at the same time.
It's got to be with a wink and a nod. I said a nink.
I never
just
really
made up a word.
I never really liked those zombie modes. Like them in theory, but I don't know.
All my relatives that play Call of Duty, that's all they play. Like
Really?
they buy the game just to play the zombie mode, and they maybe play like an hour of the campaign and jump into multiplayer and get their butts kicked, and then they go back to zombies. It's pretty odd. So I always play it with them. But
Co-op, right? Yeah.
yeah. So
The
I
power.
have a question for you, Ryan.
Ooh.
Did you see Dark Souls 3 at E3, and if so, what did you think of it?
I did. I was able to weasel my way into a demonstration. It looks pretty safe. What they were showing was kind of it was kind of mild, I guess is the way to put it. You know, they're like, hey, we're having these new weapon techniques, and to me it seemed like, well, weapons already had techniques, but maybe they had all the UI hidden. So, you know, that's the way you kind of cheat at these things, is they tell you stuff, but then you see how the game systems are really working, right? And you're like, oh, I've kind of figured something out there. The world looks really... They said it is going to be kind of related back to the game's lore-wise, but they wouldn't answer any direct question. Also, I forgot how awful group Q&As are.
Yeah, they're rough, man.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you
anyway,
gotta fight for that time to get one question in.
It looks good. It's running... I'm pretty sure it was running on a PC, I have to assume. I think they said it was a PS4, but I don't always believe what they say. It looks really smooth. I mean, way smoother than Bloodborne was. And, you know, it did kind of a Resident Evil 4 thing where you kill a guy and, like, giant tentacles come out of him. And he's, like, giant Poop-Akira arm, and he's huge and stuff. Yeah. And the world looked well designed. I mean, I think the real thing for like the big Souls fans is that it's Miyazaki directing the game again, and they said they'd been working on it a while. But then it's like, wait, wasn't he also directing Bloodborne? And how split was his mind? How split was the focus?
Yeah.
And it's coming out, I would say, relatively soon. Even with what I was joking about the Comic-Con thing, if it comes out next spring, I mean, from announcement to it happening is under a year, which I know is becoming more and more common, but still for like let's talk about Fallout 4 for 4 seconds. Really, 6 months, crazy. But
yeah, that's awesome.
At this point, I'm actually kind of getting to the, even though, I guess you can look at Lords of the Fallen as kind of in the same ballpark, even though I read all the awful reviews, I went on and bought it anyway, and I hated it.
Yeah. Everyone's trying to ape Dark Souls now at this point. There are tons of indie games, like side-scrolling indie games.
Right, but games that are like remember when everything was a Doom clone, and you could be like, oh, you shoot guns at monsters and walk through like corridors.
Yeah, Doom
there aren't too many actual people have stolen a lot of that asynchronous multiplayer stuff and kind of sprinkled it around.
I'm just talking about games that make it balls ass hard to beat one enemy. Like there's a lot of indie games coming out like that.
Yeah, I'm sure if you Google in quotes like Dark Souls of the Dark Souls of, you'll get a ton of stuff. I'm not saying I'm getting fatigued at this point. I'm just maybe getting less overly hyped. We're not getting them.
That's just.
We're not
human
getting
nature,
but they're not even pumping them out like Assassin's Creeds or Call of Duties or anything like that. We're getting them like every other year, and then I guess Bloodborne kind of switched that up into it kind of an every year thing. And I'm definitely happy.
I'm sure there'll be a Bloodborne too.
I'm definitely happy to get it, but I think it's one of those things where sometimes, I still think Mario 64 is one of the best 3D platformers, and I think they took all of the great ideas because they were first to market, and then people are like, we have to do other ideas, and it's like, some of those basic, really rote ideas, like, let's have an ice world, let's have a lava world.
Have a water world.
You can't go back to the well as many times, or you can't do the stuff that's maybe the most obvious stuff sometimes is the best stuff.
It's just like with bands. Most bands, their second album is the best. They come out the first time, their sound is unique, you like it, but it's a little rough. And then by the second album, they've got it all sorted out. Their songwriting is pretty much in the prime. They're young enough that they're still angry. They write great songs. Kind of the same thing with games.
Then you put out your double album that's a concept about, staring into the ocean.
That last question was from Susudio, by the way. We'll answer a couple more. Are you guys enjoying Rocket League? Ryan, I don't know if you've played it or not.
I downloaded it. I haven't played it yet. I'm not... I will play it, but I'm not the biggest competitive guy. But if it's fun, right?
Yeah, I actually don't want to answer that completely. That's from Dogface Pig. I don't want to answer that completely because our review of that is going up before our game eval of that is going up before the end of the weekend. I will say I am enjoying it. So yeah, it's fun, but I do have some issues with it, and you'll see that in our game eval. One more question from Kobrakai. With Xbox having more AAA exclusives this holiday season, how much do you think the tide will change in sales for the holiday months? And will this have a knock-on effect into next year? And I agree with that, by the way, 100%. Xbox One undoubtedly has much better exclusives, console exclusives for the Q4 this year. So
yeah, I think what's going to happen is people are going to buy a lot of Fallout 4 for whatever system they have, and they'll buy a lot of Metal Gear, The Phantom Pain for whatever system they have, and then Halo 5 will come out, and people will turn to their significant other and be like,
that's what I want for Christmas.
Can you give me an Xbox One? or they'll break into their piggy banks.
Yeah.
Though, let's look at 343 and what happened
I'll be honest with you,
with the Master Chief Collection. And also, let's talk for one second about the showing of Halo 5 at E3.
But let's also talk about Halo 4.
I like Halo 4.
I like it too. I reviewed it. I gave it a good score. But I don't think Halo is a game changer anymore. I don't think it's a property that convinces people to buy consoles anymore. I just don't. And I think if Bungie were still making the game, sure. But 343 has not proven really anything at this point for making a Halo game. It hasn't even proven that it can get netcode right. So
yeah, that was just bizarre to me. I still don't completely understand how people have messed up multiplayer so much.
If Cobra Kai is asking, and now I finally figured out what his name is from, the Karate Kid.
Oh, Karate Kid, yeah.
And if he is asking if we think that the exclusives are going to get people who maybe haven't bought an next-gen console to buy an Xbox One over a PlayStation 4, I say no way in hell.
I still think you can shove marketing down people's throats, and I'm still surprised to this day. I know Haze, that awful game, it charted on the NPD the month it came out because it had a ton of marketing, and some people will buy stuff. Yeah. The best thing is still your friend telling you, hey, this game's cool, check it out. If Halo 5 is a good game, if it is a good game and people buy it, it will sell some units.
But I think that's why the PlayStation 4 is in the position it's in right now. It's because people have been saying all this time, you should get a PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, they've been right.
It's going to sell some units. And I think, at this point, it's going to be year 3. Christmas or holiday season 3, this may be the point, and there's been price breaks, and there's like, what was the latest deals? Like, you can get it with the Gears of War now or something like
it's
that.
packed in. The Gears of War remaster is packed in. Yeah.
I love the idea of the pack-in.
Yeah, it's great. It's like the old days are back again.
It's even better when it's not a racing game.
Yeah.
But, I think this could be the year. The economy's on a slight uptick as well. This could be the year when people are like, I'm going to get an Xbox One as well.
And have 2 consoles instead of just one.
I think it could happen. I think it probably will be a good year for Xbox.
I think they'll do really well in software.
I mean,
sales.
they've had good months.
I honestly, at this point, I don't think Xbox One will ever catch PlayStation 4 in America. I don't think it'll happen. The only thing I would say that could possibly make it happen would be Minecraft 2 exclusive to Xbox One. To me, and it's hard to believe our industry has got to a place where the only franchise I feel like has enough power to turn a console war is Minecraft.
But they'd still have it on. They would never cut out Windows 10 from that equation, though. That's the thing.
Well,
so they would never shoehorn you enough into that.
I would even
say
if it came out for Xbox exclusively for Xbox One and PC, I still feel like it could turn the tide. But then it's a question of math. Microsoft says, well, how much is it going to help us make the Xbox One more successful versus us being able to sell this game again on all the other platforms that are out there?
Yeah.
And so I think...
Right, because it's still making a ton of money on like mobile.
And Vita and every other platform that it's on, and all the PlayStation platforms. So I honestly think this game's over as far as the console war is concerned. I think, look, if you have an Xbox One, you're fine. They're not going to stop making games for it. Third parties aren't going to stop making games for it. But I think if you're a person who roots for your console to come in first, I think that's over.
I mean, can't you normally usually call it by I know the Xbox 360 and the PS3
year
worldwide.
Year 3,
but even by this, you can see the writing starting to crystallize on the wall.
I think it gets to a certain point where there's a big enough gap that one product or game cannot turn the tide. And I think that we have got to that place now where it would take something like a Minecraft 2 to be able to turn.
Though, I mean, last generation was interesting because we obviously had its day in the sun.
And then it faded fast.
Yeah.
We had no third-party support.
But, there's those,
because it was
people are still buying Mario Kart and New Super Mario Brothers.
That is something we forgot to mention was how when Nintendo uses gimmicks on its hardware, it alienates third parties even further because they have to then build special versions of their games for that hardware. So anyway, let's not go back to that topic. And let's see, one more question? No, probably not. I think we're out of time. We should move on to
All right, can I hear the bell?
There it is.
That's my favorite part.
I like that one better. All right, so it's time to move on to the deep dive for GameFace episode 17, and that is Notch. Notch this week, I think, made some comments that he'll probably end up living to regret.
No, he won't. He's got billions of dollars. He doesn't care.
Money isn't everything. And that's one thing PewDiePie said in his sort of rebuttal video is that he's found is that his happiness has not increased one iota since he made all the money. And, I think I wouldn't say that 100% because there are people out there struggling just to pay their rent and pay their bills. And so, when people say money doesn't bring you happiness, well, it may not bring you happiness, but it can sure as hell make you go to sleep easier at night.
This material comfort is very close to happiness.
Yeah. So
there's also the old adage that everybody wants to be rich and famous, but it's better just to be rich.
Yeah. I mean, that old adage is what rich people throw out there to make themselves feel better. Money doesn't bring you happiness. It may not make you happy, but it sure can keep you from being sad a lot of times. So anyway, what happened this week was Notch was basically replied to a tweet to George Broussard. Is that how you pronounce his name? From
Sounds
3D
right
Realms? Yeah. So George Broussard basically tweeted something out about free-to-play, and then Notch replied to him saying, free-to-play games should be illegal. Ryan, is this sour grapes? And why would he even have sour grapes? And then actually the Twitter exchange got really dirty, and he started
this is the
he
thing.
said, I'm going to unfollow you, and you should know better than this, George. He started acting like a 5-year-old.
This is one of the things I think that happens on the internet. There's that classic kind of penny arcade comic where it's like being on the internet and being anonymous equals being a huge asshole,
Your internet dickwad theory.
Yeah. Classic strip. Yeah. And I feel like even when you're not anonymous, I feel like the internet has is so run by opinions, like all the content and media and stuff, that people have become like polemic or opinionated on things where I'm not saying they don't have an opinion, but we're like, here's my opinion. Most free-to-play games really suck ass. But once you say something like this, when he typed that...
But don't you expect something more?
Did he literally mean illegal? I
think he did.
I don't think he believed it until people started fighting with him, and then it became a thing. I mean,
did you look at the exchange?
Yeah, I did.
I don't know, man.
This is my take.
I don't think he was messing around.
No. I think he calls out things like addiction and pot.
Yeah. He compared it
drugs.
to like heroin addicts.
But here's the thing: like, we have Las Vegas. Weed is getting legalized. I don't know. There's definitely what do they call the people that buy everything? Whales, right? Yeah. Like, there's definitely people that kind of approach those people, and then there's a ton of people that bellyache about free-to-play games, and then they go play Dota, League of Legends, Team Fortress 2, and it's like there's this realm of nasty that I think is what people don't like, and they look at it and they don't think it's good, and they don't think it's right, like even on a moral level or an ethical level. And then people look at it like in a different way, and they're like, oh, it's fine. And then I think there's kind of this to make a blanket statement like all free-to-play games. And free-to-play does not mean free-to-play, it means microtransaction. Because there actually are a ton of games that are literally free, as in the air I'm breathing is free, So it's one of those things.
I think he was 100% serious. I think
from the get-go.
Yes, and I think he was completely uninformed. I think he just has not played enough free-to-play games to realize that there are not just a couple like ones that handle it really well. Like at this point, almost all free-to-play games handle it very well because they've learned the lessons now. They've seen the stuff happen with the Plants vs. Zombies 2. And
no, there's still like...
They've seen the backlash of Candy Crush Saga.
But that's still making tons of money. Or what's that one where the actress models it?
Game of War?
Yeah,
whatever?
like... I don't even know. I don't know. Like, I didn't even download Fallout Shelter when I found out it was free-to-play. I mean, to me, it's like, nope, not going to touch it.
Really?
Yeah. It's just, I know there's...
So we need to play more free-to-play games.
Shelter is like a legit game.
No, I realize, and I've read reviews and stuff. They're time sinks too, and I just don't want to enter that time sink. That's my other kind of issue.
He's not talking about time sink. We're getting off on a tangent here. He's talking about the principle of a free-to-play game, and he tried to like insinuate something to George that like, oh, like wink, wink. You know what I'm talking about? Like, there's some like secret developer code.
Well, they do hire psychiatrists to make things. Psychiatrists usually try to help you break addictions. Blizzard has psychiatrists on staff that try to make things more addictive. Yeah. So they are against you. It's like when people try to sue like fast food companies and stuff like that. It's a little outrageous, but there's a little truth to it. Is it illegal? No, there's no law against it. I mean, it's when you get down to like the semantics and stuff like that. Is he wrong? No, he has an opinion. He thinks like there's something here that's like nefarious, and I think he's right to a degree. There's some stuff. There should be maybe standards. There maybe should be regulation.
What do you mean though by regulation?
I don't know. I don't play this stuff enough, but there's definitely there's like the kids who they steal their mom's cards and they ring up like $800 in like fake coins or something like that. There's got to be like safeguards for that kind of crap.
Meanwhile, there's tens of thousands of kids stealing money out of their parents' wallets to go buy drugs or whatever else, or go buy a new shirt or a baseball cap or new Jordans or whatever. It's like
I mean, I'm just maybe that's not the best example. Singling out
free-to-play games for that isn't really fair.
No, I'm not saying they should be illegal, but I'm just saying maybe there is something there that should be looked at. I'm not a regulator. I'm not a child psychologist. I'm not a psychologist, but I don't know. There is something there. It's the way like casinos too. They there's no clocks, there's no windows. They have the ones that pay out near the door, so you think of there's a lot of stuff getting at you. Should there be safeguards against that stuff? I don't know. It gets into kind of like mind police stuff, and I'm maybe not the most capitalistic person in the world, but maybe it is something that should be looked at. It's a brand new market. There's never been anything really like this that I can think of.
I don't see anything wrong with it. It's not like...
Well, that's because it's not really like an individual thing. It's like when you kind of take in the whole, like maybe there's something going on. I don't know.
I mean, maybe I've been lucky. I did play Plants vs. Zombies 2 when it first came out, and everybody else was in an uproar about, it's freemium, and I played the hell out of Plants vs. Zombies 2 for days and never spent a dime. I've been playing League of Legends for years. I've never spent a dime. I played Heroes of the Storm. I never spent a dime.
Yeah.
World of Tanks. It just goes on and on. There's tons of amazing games that you can play for as
And
long as
again,
you want to.
and I
spend a
think,
penny.
but there's like the
And
more
so why-
there's the more grimy games though. I
For
think.
sure,
like
but look-
Bejeweled, you basically have to pay to get like a
But
winning.
look, let's get back on
or not
topic, which is
Bejeweled,
Notch.
Candy Crush.
And so for Notch to say League of Legends should be illegal, or Team Fortress 2 should be illegal, or any of the other great games we've talked about.
I don't agree with any of that.
Sucks, dude, because I like those games, and there's millions of people who do like those games.
I totally agree with that.
And if Notch had the power to make those games illegal, there would be hundreds of thousands of people camped outside his $30 million mansion ready to throw a rock through
That's like
his
a straw
window.
man argument because he doesn't. He has an opinion. There's a bunch of assholes around the world that would be like, there's people that like,
But
I don't want this
look,
ethnic group.
You can't just say that like random Twitter people are the same as Notch, dude. Notch is a huge figure. When he says stuff, he has fanboys. He has people that were trying to defend it. Not many, but he had people who were still trying to defend it.
But that's the point you just said. He does have a ton of
He has
fanboys,
power.
and he doesn't have that many people defending him because people at this point
Are smart
are not
and realize
are not,
he's insane.
Are not globbing. They're not globbing onto that. So I mean, it's fine. You know, it's freedom of speech. You know,
No,
he's not harassing anyone.
I'm not saying he shouldn't be allowed to say what he wants.
I know.
It's just like,
yeah. But I'm
you're
just,
always you can always say what you want. Freedom of speech does not mean you won't get in trouble for saying what you want.
The question is
it
he
means you can
harassing
say what you
yeah.
want.
And I don't know. It's just to me, it seems like a little blow up. I don't know. I honestly don't believe he believes it as much as he types it up. That's just my opinion.
He seemed awful aggro, and
people get angry and they type stuff on the internet.
But what solidified it for me is that he's talking to what a lot of people consider to be like an industry luminary, like somebody who's been making games for like decades and decades. And I mean,
he doesn't think he's that equal to that.
What do you mean?
You think the guy who made Minecraft doesn't think he's equal to George Broussard at this point?
I think he thinks he's better than George Broussard, or he'd never
Absolutely.
talked to him that way. And I think that's disrespectful. I mean, to me, there is so much wrong with what Notch did in this instance. And not only that, to do it in public, and he treated him like he was like a child. He's like, well, I'll unfollow you. And it's like, how old are you, Notch? Like, he acted like an 8-year-old. The whole thing came off to me like he was acting like a juvenile child.
I mean, if you watch any of the Minecraft documentaries, like he's not always, you know, he's like a probably on the spectrum nerd guy, you know, and
all are. We're all nerds. George Broussard's a nerd. He's been making video games for like 30 years.
Like on this, okay. But I mean, I don't know. To me, this is like not a big deal at all. It's some guy ran his mouth with an opinion and he ran with it. He ran the football and he got tackled, you know?
Okay.
My football analogy for the show. I don't know if that worked out.
You tried.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this week's GameFace episode 17. Hopefully, you guys were all drinking your favorite libations while you were watching the show. We probably should have cracked a beer. We got a fridge full
Out of
it over
the
there.
mini fridge?
Out of our own mini fridge that is not the one for Call of Duty. We do want to thank all our viewers in Europe who have stayed up late to watch the show. We really appreciate it. You guys are true hardcore fans. And, of course, our fans all around the world. We love you all just the same. So, as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. GameFace is up and out.